On it.
So, the Scarlet Chorus and Disfavored are at each other's throats. Can't say I didn't see that coming, but the Archons might have waited until one war was over before they started another. Fighting with the rebels? I'm sure Tunon didn't see that one coming when he dispatched you to help break the siege. Who can say? War is all about compromising your morals, deciding who lives and dies. What seems like a mistake turns into your greatest call down the road. I'll say this much, our time together is anything but dull. My blades are yours for as long as you'll have me. What do you need? You've just got to know, don't you? I suppose there's no point in hiding it. Barrick and I are siblings. We share a father, if little else. I try not to think too much about some northern merchant dropping anchor in my mother's port, but it happened, and the fortunate result stands proudly before you. There were a lot of lazy days during the conquest, and among other things, I spent my off hours using messenger birds as target practice. You should have seen Ash's anger when he heard that was going on. One day, I snagged a bird that flew from the hands of a proud northern daddy. The missive was about the goings-on at the family farm. I recognized the name and handwriting from a note in my mother's belongings. There weren't too many people named Barrick in the army, so tracking him down was no challenge. I cornered him in camp, and we shared a few heated words. Some blackmail, even.
She tried to extort rings from me, and I was having none of it. Not even Graven Ash would think less of me for our father's indiscretion.
I like your confidence, but my ring belt is feeling a little light these days. Maybe you want to take me up on that offer, or I can start whispering in disfavored ears. Think about it. I've tried to get along with that ironclad knot of repression, but it would seem he's having none of it. Good riddance, then. The war's tossed us together, but nothing says we have to keep that going. The most we do for each other is try not to get the other one killed, which is more than you can say for most disfavored and Scarlet Chorus.
Well, Verse has a nasty habit of jabbering in my ear and making this war intolerable. I plan on parting ways and returning to the north at first convenience. My father will answer for his infidelity. Beyond that, I am happy to consider myself in every way unaffected. My superiors once accused me of having an impulsive streak, but I have worked to suppress it at every turn.
When you go back home, send Father my fondest greetings and thanks. If he hadn't gone to ground on my mother's dry dock, I might not be here today.
My heritage was a point of pride and distinction before I met you, Verse. Not that you would care.
I've asked myself about that several times, but unfortunately I don't have what you'd call a definitive answer. The Northerners put a lot of meaning behind family and blood. Seems arbitrary to me, but I don't want to discredit it entirely. I told you about what happened to my Scarlet Fury sisters. The hesitation I experienced. Sometimes I wonder if that wasn't because of my connection to Barrick. He's stubborn, regimented, everything I'm not. I suppose there's no telling for sure, but if I had to guess... Yeah. Sometimes I get messed up in my head, and learning I had a brother has helped me understand that better. What do you need? I suppose I'd hate to deprive you. Let's be off.
Be seeing you, Fatebinder.
Salutations, Fatebinder. Or should I now call you Lord of Vendrian's Well? The Spire King? Prince of the suggestive vertical slab. So if I might ask, what is your plan now? The edict no longer looms overhead, and Kairos' conquest of the Tiers seems to be slipping, what with the armies and civil war. I would counsel you to do just that. I'm sure the events of Vendrian's Well are best explained from your mouth to Tunon's ears. Furthermore, I'd guess the Archon of Justice would want to know your take on the Archons and their divide. My first suggestion would be to build a boat. Something durable, and take our chances on the high seas far from Kairos. I have a second and more practical suggestion. Look to the horizon and slightly up. By that I mean the other spires. We should see what's atop the others. Otherwise someone else might look first. Not nearly enough, apparently. To me, they've always been axioms of navigation. You can triangulate a lot of things with the sextant and a clear view to a spire or two. We've long known the spires radiate strong magical fields, and all save the mountain spire connect to the old walls. So it's the sort of thing common folk know from afar, but avoid day to day. Kairos' armies made short work of the Tiers. There's still plenty of anti-Kairos sentiment, but not a lot of folks with any fight left in them. But we have a few options. The classic option for a land war in the Tiers is hiring Free City's mercenaries. Most of them were slain in the war, but the Bronze Brotherhood is still alive and strutting. They're stationed in Lethian's Crossing. The idea I was pitching to the Vendrian Guard. Let's arm every Beastman tribe that'll join us. The Stone Sea is home to a bevy of tribes that were freed during the war, and neither the Chorus nor the Disfavored can seem to tame them. If we really want to hate ourselves in the morning, Stalwart is pretty famous for not helping their neighbors, but also famous for being relentless at war. The Disfavored have their leadership surrounded, but the people in the storm-blasted countryside are still fighting. And while I don't endorse this, I must list all the options. The School of Ink and Quill. I'm sure there's some logic to working with them, just like there's some logic in cutting off your own head to prevent all future headaches. The Bronze Brotherhood of Lethian's Crossing aren't necessarily good company, but at least it'll be quick and easy to find out where we stand with them. We can afford them or not. They'll take a contract or not. Well, the court has a guild of mages, the Forgebound, right? They are your peers, seeing as you're all legally sworn to Tunon. Maybe you can get them to be more loyal to you than to Tunon? We could also try to drive a wedge between the Earthshakers and the Disfavored. The Disfavored are tied as family, but the Earthshakers are married in family? They were followers of Cairn and got adopted in. So if these Archon-less mages could be persuaded to rally to us, we'd tip things in our favor. Easier said than done, of course. Aren't you a feisty one? Where was this hate for Kairos' lackeys a few years ago? You seem so very eager to turn on your old allies. But I'm not one to criticize. I think it's wise to lean into the winds of change. Well, short of Tunon giving you orders on pain of death, you have the luxury of acting on your own volition. Though the Disfavored are likely to come for you. Whatever you decide, I'm at your disposal. And I am thankful to not be a bloody pile of offal in Vendrian's Well. Life under your banner will, I'm sure, prove most interesting.
Look at that, a future chorus. Pity you won't enjoy this as much as I do.
You call yourselves officers of Kairos' army, but your conduct falls short of my expectations. The court finds your accounts of Vendrian's well lacking, rife with misdirection and fallacy, fouled with baseless accusation. Silence! The contradictions in your statements will be examined, and falsities threshed from truths. If we find you have perjured yourselves, Bled and Mark will see to your fate. Fatebinder, we will start with the matter of the Archons. Graven Ash and the Voices of Nerat have declared war upon each other. In addition to violating Kairos' peace, they have thrown the conquest of the Tears into disarray. By all accounts, these hostilities began shortly after your arrival. Tell us what transpired. The Fatebinder presents testimony. I warn you both against speaking out of turn. Something more than a mere disagreement unraveled this campaign. But I will return to that in time. Let us speak of Ascension Hall. We have heard troubling accounts of your actions, including claims that you worked with the Oathbreakers known as the Vendrian Guard. As you say. And yet that was not evident from your actions. All accounts claim that you sided with the Oathbreakers. This would be the very definition of working against the Overlord's wishes. Enlighten the court. How is this not treason? Continue. I will consider this testimony at length. The court thanks you for it. Is there anything you wish to add at this time? Your testimony is accepted by the court. The statements of our guests raise questions in my mind. There is much about this campaign that has caused me to wonder. A shipment of iron weapons was short on arrival. Where coveted iron is concerned, I don't believe it to be a clerical error. One of my agents recovered this seal in Echo Call. It belongs to a merchant collective. Lethian's Crossing is teeming with their kind. If you would root out treachery, I would advise starting there. Petitioners, leave us. I would have a private audience with the Fatebinder. Ascend and join me. You will find the way opened.
at least in theory, I'm supposed to be observing history and not getting myself wrapped into it. All the same, this is the thrill of a lifetime. Rarely does one stand so close to monumental moments in the making. You're playing a very dangerous game, or maybe toying with your food. By adopting the Vendrian God, you've bloodied the waters with the chum of hope. I must ask, did you help the Oathbreakers to suit your own plans and whims, or do you genuinely wish to protect them? Point taken. I will make no note of the subject for the time being. And what of their past actions against Kairos? Aren't you worried of guilt by association? We saw what became of Cairn for merely suggesting treachery.
We long held to the fantasy that someone would rally to our cause, but we assumed it would be our neighbors and cousins that rescued us from extinction. I'd never have guessed salvation would come from the enemy's court.
Whatever you do next, consider that many eyes will be upon you, for you have both delivered and taken away the Overlord's edicts, and few will know how to make sense of the latter. You are an exception the Archons cannot afford to ignore. They will likely aim to control or destroy you. Most of Kairos' edicts were either worded to end in a manner of the Overlord's choosing, or the edicts have simply continued in perpetuity. That's not to say there haven't been stories of broken edicts. They're just uncommon. The oldest is, I think, Golbraith and the Edict of Sorrows, and that tale dates back to around the year 110. Aside from you, the most recent was the Edict of Twisting Grasses, back in 380. In all these stories, Kairos' edict very clearly gives its victim a single way to escape, and someone manages it. What's never happened is the pure abatement of an edict, like using a spell of warding or cancellation.
This civil war, this feud, is an insult to Kairos' peace. It should not have taken the better part of a year to silence the last vestiges of the Oathbreakers. Our allies squabble while our enemies regroup. It falls upon the court to measure the extent of the damage, and to execute the agents of disorder. I suspect that treachery, negligence, disunity, and greed have infected one or both of our esteemed allies. Until you are instructed otherwise, this matter is the court's primary focus. Graven Ash and the voices of Nerat must be examined in close detail. You are charged with observing the Archons and presenting your case that one of them has wrought chaos and disorder upon the Tiers. It's possible, but the momentum of the conquest up to this point suggests otherwise. The failure at Vendrian's Well implies a coordinated will behind the chaos. As always, you will be held accountable for what you do in the court's name, but you are free to conduct your investigation in the manner of your choosing. You must expect lies, misdirection, and manipulation. Suffer not such obstructions of justice. At first, we were not amused by your alliance with the Tiersmen, but there is a logic, a pragmatism to the situation that we are willing to entertain. You deputized our enemies to bring order out of chaos. So long as you keep them on a tight leash, we will permit this union to continue under your auspices. The opportunity to bring peace through collaboration rather than warfare is one we shouldn't ignore. But if these Oathbreakers trust you, then take advantage of the connection. If indeed Graven Ash or the voices of Nerat conspire with our enemies, this would explain much of the events in Vendrian's Well and the feud ignited therein. Be careful that you don't invite them too closely into your confidence. I would not empower the rabble by sending a servant of the court to do their bidding. Ensure that your objectives come first in all things. You see the nobles milling about this court. You hear the anxiety and uncertainty of a conquered people. Day and night I audience declarations of fealty to curry favor. What you don't see are the dungeons beneath the court, and the hundreds of tearsmen who strained against Kairos' rule. I warrant that your Oathbreaker allies know a few of them, whether by blood or by allegiance. Let it be known that their lives are forfeit to the court's mercy, and any action meant to shatter what order we have established will be met with the swiftest reprisal. Blood will flow through these halls. Is that clear? I'm glad we understand each other. Be sure your new friends understand as well. Do not toy with the locals. Subjugate them if they will serve. Destroy them if they have exhausted their usefulness. I will not permit them to vanish into the tiers, there to gather strength with renewed defiance for the Overlord. Your fellow Fatebinders have been busy acting as my eyes and ears. I have a few leads for you to follow. You should, of course, speak with your brothers and sisters of the court if you need further counsel. Though the disfavored were triumphant in the Blade Grave, I understand that their troubles within the region are unfinished. Talk to the disfavored commanders serving in the Blade Grave. Perhaps they can shine some light on the origins of this feud. There is a final matter to discuss. A sensitive topic. In spite of the many shortcomings at Vendrian's Well, you managed to make a name for yourself. You proclaimed an Edict of Kairos, resolved its demanding conditions, and ascended the mountain spire. Any one of these feats would be worthy of recognition by the highest authority. You managed to accomplish 3. Your sense of obligation to your role is admirable, but modesty will not recommend you to the task ahead. Whether by design or by accident, you have captured the attention of Kairos' army and the local tiersmen alike. This is no small opportunity, and the court charges you with exploiting your new standing to its fullest potential. You have a title in our hierarchy. However, it's a little-known secret that one's standing in the world is determined by their infamy, their deeds, and how they come to be known. Mind this notion as you bring justice to this lawless frontier. There may come a time when your deeds speak for you louder than any title. If your killing spree in the bastard city is any indication, you are no stranger to spreading infamy already. Whatever you did to capture the attention of the masses at Vendrian's Well, I would encourage you to do so again. Good. It falls to us to set a new standard for these southern barbarians. You are dismissed. Should the court have need of your presence, you will receive word. Go forth and do my bidding, and bring glory and honor to the tiers in Kairos' name.
You learn something every day.
I see you there.